Welcome to InTouch, dedicated to real estate professionals worldwide. We're here to educate you, entertain you, and empower you in all facets of real estate. Are you ready for the latest news, trends, and market updates? Then it's time to get in touch. Welcome to the show. Today, I am joined by my co-host, Gary Giffen. We have an exciting show. Get ready. And before we start, we're going to pause for a little station identification, a little real estate agent comic relief.
The next caller coming in. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, this is Gary. Yeah, I work all 50 states. Where are you looking? Las Vegas? Great. I got a good one in Las Vegas. They have tons of inventory out there, unlike California and Florida. Yeah, Las Vegas, you'll love it. Yeah, they got a nice tent. This one's got front opening, back opening. You're gonna love it. It's right there next to MGM Grand. You'll love it. Yeah, you just, and it actually comes with a scraper because there's a lot of bubble gum and stuff on the floor, so you'll need to scrape that up before you get in your house. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna send you over to Karen on that one. Thanks. All right, caller coming through right now. Yeah, how you doing, Jane? Nice to meet you on the phone. Yeah. You've got a family of 3. And two small kids, and you're looking for what is it? 500K. Okay, that's about the medium price for most states, but yeah, not in California. And then when did you want to go out? You want to go out at 5 p.m.? How about between 5 and 6 p.m. on Highway 5, going south to downtown San Diego by the airport? That's perfect. Yeah, that's great timing. I'll take an Uber and actually meet you down there, but let's take a look at the inventory. I'm on the MLS right now. Everything is real time on the MLS, DOS 6.3. So these guys are cutting edge. Let me see what we have. So 500K. Looks like detached homes are out, but I've got about 50. Look at this. I've got 50 condos right now. Yeah, those are 1 bedrooms. I think it'll be fine for your family. And HOA fees, what are you trying to keep around? 300? Okay. I've got 1 for 300. Yeah, that's at the Hard Rock. Are you okay with that? And that comes with live concert tickets too, which is nice. Yeah. I'll get you set up, and let's meet down there around, like you said, 5:30. There's no traffic down there around that time, easy parking. We'll see you down there. All right. Thank you. Bye now.
Welcome back to the show. A very special episode today. I am frequently asked this question. Andrew, I have a license in one state. Can I do business in another state? Now, most people would immediately answer no. You need to be licensed in the state in which you conduct real estate. And in one way, that is true. If you are going to reside in one state and do business in that one state, you need to be a licensed professional in order to conduct your activities in that home state. However, there is something called reciprocity and portability, which very, very few real estate agents nationwide know anything about. So today I'm going to debunk a lot of myths, and I'm going to share with you how you can use your license while still following state laws and rules in all the different states to conduct business out of state. And I hope to inspire you to look beyond the borders of your home state and consider servicing other individuals in other states. Now, you certainly need to broaden your knowledge of those other states, those cities and communities that you'll be transacting in. Or what I would recommend is simply partnering up with somebody in that other state so that you can work as a partner and learn how to refer business and not just receive a referral fee, but actually be a part of the transaction based on the state rules and making sure that you're in compliance with reciprocity and portability laws. But that way you can participate in a higher percentage of the commission rather than just sending off a referral and receiving 25%. That is the goal. The goal is to boost your income through giving you new, fresh knowledge and allow your reach to go nationwide. So get ready, a very special episode. I look forward to sharing this knowledge and wisdom with you, how to utilize your license through all 50 states. Let's get started. Today's training is on real estate license reciprocity, and portability. So what does that mean? Well, that means that with your California real estate license or any other state that you're in, that you can actually utilize that license in other states. Now, there's 50 states all have different rules. Right now, there's 44 states that have some form of cooperation. And there's another 6 states that have what's called turf state, which means that they do not cooperate. They simply make you get a license in that state. And if you do not have a license in that state, there's no way for you to cooperate with any other agent in that state to earn a commission. Now, we all know that through referral fees, if you have a client anywhere in the United States buying or selling, you can just simply refer it with your license and receive a referral fee. And that's all well and fine. Typically, those referral fees can go anywhere from, on the low end, maybe 20% or 15%, and on the high end, as high as 35 or 40%. But on average, it's 25% for a referral. And the reason I wanted to train on this today is because so many of you are breaking into the commercial world of real estate. And in commercial, when you get a great client, you want to hold on to that client. You don't want to refer that client out. And many times they're not necessarily attached to one particular state. They're looking for a return on capital. And so if they're in California, for example, and all of a sudden there's some great deals in Arizona, they expect you to be able to go to Arizona and purchase that property with them. So I want to teach you how to do that today. I'm going to give you some great resources. The other reason I wanted to bring this up is just simply because I know many of you have considered or have lived out of state, but are considering moving. And if you are considering moving, we want you to know, for one, you'll be able to continue to hang your license with AARE. We are now licensed in more than just one state. And by the end of this year, we should be up to about 8 or 9 states, possibly even 10 states. By the end of next year, we should be above 20 states. And we're really focused on the top 20 states that are out there that continue to provide opportunity for agents, where people are moving. There's a lot of growth. There's sales happening, and there's both residential and commercial and property management opportunities. So we're going to discuss both those things today. Now, those are the terms for those 2 different items that you can do with your license are reciprocity and portability. So let's start with reciprocity. Okay, so again, what is license reciprocity? And you can follow along with me on the screen. I'm not going to read much, but I am going to read a little bit this morning. So what is real estate license reciprocity? Real estate license reciprocity is an agreement between states that allows real estate agents licensed in one state to be licensed in reciprocal states. In some cases, you only have to pass the reciprocal state portion of the real estate exam. If you're based in any U.S. state and wish to practice, for example, in Alabama. In other cases, you have to retake and pass the complete real estate exam. Example, if you want to practice in Arizona, that means you have to do the national part and the state part. I've already done many of these, and I'm continuing to do them. We have to get licensed in all 20 of these states to make that happen. So I'm on this journey with you. I want you to know that. And I just completed Arizona. It wasn't easy. You really do have to do both. But I'm going to do Colorado later this week, and it's just the state portion, which is much easier. So it's like half the test. It's only about 50 questions versus 150 questions. So it really just depends on what state that you're trying to reciprocate with. Remember, this is about your license if you were going to move and go do business in that particular state, right? Now, you can be dual licensed. You could have a license in California and also in Arizona, even if you don't plan to move to Arizona. That's fine. You can have multiple licenses in different states. But what drives it mainly is people are thinking about maybe retiring and leaving one of the coastal states, moving somewhere more affordable, or somebody has clients in one state where their home-based license is, and they see that there's a lot of people moving to a particular state. For example, I'm in Southern California, and I've known for a long time a lot of people move to Arizona, they move to Nevada, they move to Texas, just to get away from the cost of living in Southern California. So in this circumstance, me being able to reciprocate my license using that within the different states is very advantageous. Now, the second thing that we're going to discuss is portability. So that's different. That's not about moving your license or getting another license, right? This is about porting the license that you already have. So let's say you're here in California, you have a real estate license. You don't want to get other real estate licenses in different states. You plan to stay here the rest of your life, but you do recognize that some of your clients do want to purchase, as I mentioned earlier with that investor client I was referencing, that they want to purchase in other states. And you'd like to participate more than just a referral fee. Because I have to tell you, if it's a $300,000-$400,000 transaction, no big deal, you get 25%. But let's say it's a $3 or $4 million transaction. Are you going to be satisfied with only getting 25%? Or would you prefer to get 70% and possibly co-broker with somebody on the other side, giving them the referral fee at 30%? And so that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. We have several agents right now, one specifically working in Tennessee. We just took another listing, looks like in New Mexico. So these agents, and these are big commercial listings, one of them's for $14 million. It makes a lot of sense for that agent to want to partner up with somebody in Tennessee. They don't have plans to move to Tennessee. They don't want to have a Tennessee license, but they do want to know how they can port their license and work with an out-of-state agent. So I'm just going to read the 3 different types of portability so that you're very clear on this. So real estate license portability governs how out-of-state agents or brokers may or may not conduct business in another state. There are 3 types of real estate license portability. Number 1, a cooperative state. And this is the best. Ideally, if you get an out-of-state buyer or seller, they're in a cooperative state. This is the most favorable. A cooperative state allows out-of-state agents or brokers to enter their state to conduct real estate business in person. However, out-of-state agents must have a co-brokerage agreement with a licensee of the cooperative state. So let's give a real world scenario. I was just sharing the situation in Tennessee. One of our agents here is working on a huge listing out there. It's $14 million, happens to be a cooperative state. And so what that means is that we have to co-broker with another company that's there and strike an agreement with that company so that we can share in the listing, and we can do it 50-50. We could choose 70-30, however we want to do it. But the point is that that's a cooperative state. Okay. Let's move on to the next one, which is a physical location state. Number 2, a physical location state allows out-of-state agents or brokers to conduct real estate business in their state remotely. For example, you could negotiate and submit offers on behalf of your clients as long as you stay in your current licensed location. So California happens to be a physical location state. So because we are licensed in California, we have to adhere to California laws in addition to the state that we're trying to conduct a business in. So you almost have to combine the 2 of them, right? So in this example I gave you where, the agent's working in Tennessee, because they're in a physical location state, licensed here in California, they can cooperate. They can go and co-broker and get that listing, but they cannot physically go there and start negotiating and acting like an agent. They must do all of their negotiations outside the state of Tennessee because they're licensed in California, which is a physical location state. The third one, which is the most restrictive, is what's called a turf state. And the turf state does not allow out-of-state agents or brokers to conduct any business in their state, either in person or remotely. In this situation, you can only refer your clients to a licensee of a turf state. There are 6 turf states: Kentucky, Missouri, Nebraska, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Utah. So to overcome this, we're actually in the process of getting licensed in 3 of those states. New Jersey, Missouri, and Pennsylvania, and most likely Utah will follow. So we'll still have a workaround there. So in the event that you do get a listing or somebody that wants to go and buy some property there, you'll be able to co-broker with one of our agents that's already there because the brokerage itself is licensed there. So those are the 3 types that you need to be aware of right away.
Again, the reciprocity is if you personally want to get your license and be duly licensed in that other state, or if you want to move to another state, that's what's called reciprocity. But if you just want to use your California real estate license, and if you're on this call and you're part of our brokerage and you're in another state, whatever state your home license is, if you want to use that license to go ahead and effect a transaction in another state, that's what's called porting. You're porting your license. And that's the 3 different ways that you can do it. And it just starts to talk about the different states and who offers that full level reciprocity, who offers the cooperative portability. So let's say you wanted to move to Colorado. There's what's called full license reciprocity. And what that means is you can actually go to Colorado without even taking a test, do the background check, fill out a few forms, go ahead and pay some fees, and you can actually move your license and be a Colorado real estate agent. So that's pretty cool. And those 5 states right there, Alabama, Colorado, Maine, Mississippi, and Virginia, no test required. You can actually move your license right over there. Now, there's no license reciprocity whatsoever in the states below. And it lists, from Alaska to Wyoming, there's a fair chunk of those. What I would offer, and they have partial license reciprocity underneath here. What I would offer is what I've discovered. These rules are constantly changing state by state. If you're seriously considering a second home or possibly splitting your time outside of one state and living in another, do the research on your own. For example, I found out in Arizona, although we did go ahead and get the full license because we wanted the brokerage to have that and all of you to have the ability to conduct business there. If you are an agent moving over there, there is a way that you can port your license, and all you have to do is go pay some fees and take some pre-education courses. So it's constantly changing, and I would just, again, encourage you to do your own research. And I'm always here to help you as well if you have a particular state in mind. So I'm not going to go down the list state by state, but I am going to go ahead and post this link in the chat box now. And so all of you can, on your own time, go do your own research. And there it goes. So it's there in the chat box. You can grab it. And I have a few links to share today. So, but each one, it's nice. For example, here in Alabama, it shows if it's, reciprocable and if it's portable. So if there is reciprocity, it will talk about what you need to do if you ever wanted to move to that state and get a license in that state, or if you want to be duly licensed in that state, in your home state. And then it also talks about the portability. Is it cooperative, or Alaska, for example, it's a physical location. And then finally it gives you some links, which is quite nice, which is directly to that Department of Real Estate for that particular state, their website, so you can do further research on your own. Now, I know for many of you, like myself, it's been 20 years or longer since I've had to go through exams or something. So it's a little bit of a walk down memory lane. And I would just prepare you, if you do choose a state that does not have reciprocity or portability, and you're starting from scratch. For example, I'm in the midst of taking care of Texas. Oh boy, get ready. California is actually pretty good when it comes to requirements. It's not that bad. It's 90 hours to get a broker's license, for example, and then you go take a state test. Texas, it's 270 hours. And if you do not have a college degree, it's 660 hours on top of the 270 hours. So, I mean, that's a year worth of education before you can even go take the state exam. There are some workarounds, and I've figured out many of them where you can, if you're getting education in one state, use that education in another state. And if you get one license in one state, sometimes it's reciprocal in a new state. So I've got creative strategies to help anybody who wants to have these multi-state licenses, but it is a journey. So I would just tell you to choose wisely. You don't have to do this. You don't have to get multiple licenses. You still can use your home license and just port it like we talked about, and just work with agents in those different territories and follow the law, which I can help you do. So again, end of this website is just all the different states. You can browse through. Again, for California, we are a physical location state. We don't have reciprocity with other states, meaning other licensees that are in other states, they cannot reciprocate with us. So California is pretty strict on that. That protects you and I, actually, as California licensees. That means they have to partner with us, and no one can come in here without a license and start negotiating. So anybody tells you different, you can correct them. Okay, moving forward. Next, I'm going to show you just something from CCIM. Some of these are outdated, but the laws, again, have constantly been changing. So this was just a good thing for me to reference for all of you that do nothing but commercial. This, just so you can see, the CCIM, which is a commercial institution, they actually refer back to the National Association of Realtors when they talk about portability and reciprocation. So although you may be in commercial and thinking, well, I can just go do commercial deals because all those things that I'm discussing right now only apply to residential. No, actually, they do apply to both residential and commercial. So you do have to still reciprocate or port your license and pay attention to the laws. And I'm going to teach you how to put it into the listing contracts so that you're covered. We're going to cover that later in this meeting. And you're going to look very professional because, frankly, when you call other agents in other states and say, hey, look, I've got a listing or I've got a client, I'm looking to co-broker with you, many of them are confused. They have no idea that that's even legal. And you have to educate them and sometimes even their broker. But when you can point to documents like this, if they're commercial or if they're residential, that website that I just gave you, it's going to allow you to speak in a voice of authority. And they're going to know that, okay, yeah, they actually know, and I can learn something from this agent that's trying to co-broker with me. And then you just need to follow the rules. So if there's ever a problem, ever a lawsuit, you know exactly what you did and that you followed the law and that you have evidence and documentation that you were following the law so that you can go after a commission if you need to do a commission claim. But if there's ever a lawsuit, then we know that that other brokerage is also responsible, and we have E&O that covers this stuff as well. Okay, so let's continue to move on. Now, this is what's called an SIOR, State License Portability Chart. And this is the most comprehensive document that I've come across and what I utilize, and I'm encouraging all of you to utilize when it comes time to actually do a deal. So with that Tennessee transaction, for example, I can browse through the website to have a general understanding of what I can and can't do, but I don't know the actual law in Tennessee that I'm supposed to reference on my listing agreement that's going to give me the authority and the right to be able to do this and to protect me. And so this chart lists every state. Again, it throws it into a category: C for cooperative, P for physical location, and then T for turf. And it has all those definitions at the very bottom here. OSL stands for out-of-state licensee. So that would be you if you're trying to go do business in another state. And then, most importantly, to the right of the remarks is the source. And that's the code. That's the legal code in that particular state that you're going to reference when you put together a co-brokerage agreement or a listing agreement with that other broker that's in the other state. And so that you protect yourself, and you could say, for example, in Arizona, because we've got that up on the screen, it's a cooperative state, and it looks like there's the code there, Arizona Revised Statement 32-2163. I could write into a listing agreement with my client that, per Arizona law, Arizona is a cooperative state. This allows, and I could copy and paste all these remarks that I have highlighted, an out-of-state licensee to enter into a written co-brokerage agreement with an Arizona licensee in which the out-of-state licensee must agree to submit to AZ law. AZ cooperating licensee assumes all responsibility for acts of out-of-state licensee, blah, blah, blah. So the point is you can really utilize this, which is great, as a copy-paste, clean it up a little bit if it's in the first person or the third person, and then you can reference this code right here and say, per this statutory code, I am authorized to do this. And it's very professional. And if there ever was a problem, that commissioner in that real estate market would know that you certainly did your research and put your best foot forward trying to obey the law. So this one, again, all 50 states are on here. We're just going to take a look as we scroll down. I'll go ahead and pull up some of the states that we were talking about. Arizona, Nevada is another one. Nevada is an interesting state. It's right next door to us. A lot of people are leaving. It is a cooperative state. I just actually completed all of that licensing. And it's interesting because there's 3 different licenses if you really want to play ball in Nevada. You have to get a real estate license, and then you have to get a property manager license, and then you have to get a business broker license. And they're easy tests. They're not complicated. And if you have a California license, you only have to do the state portion. So like 50 multiple choice questions. It's not challenging. However, it's fascinating that you need all 3 licenses. And so point being is a lot of people from California are moving to Nevada and Arizona because of the cost of living. And those are the first 2 states, if you're in Southern California, that I would take a good look at. If you're in Northern California, I'd be taking a good look at Oregon and Washington, or Idaho, Montana, Utah. There seems to be a good gravitation in Northern California to those states. And conversely, if you're on the East Coast, what we've found is, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, all 3 of those states are almost like connected. North Carolina as well. And what's nice is many of those states, they reciprocate, and you can actually use your license and go right into the state, start conducting business, or even get a dual license very easily. We found Georgia to be probably the number 1 state that reciprocates with most of the other states throughout the nation. So there's the opportunity for all of you, whether or not you're going to move to these states, to really expand your reach and diversify your income. I think it gives you a certain level of credibility with your clients to be able to tell them that you're licensed in more than 1 state. And it also gives you something unique to bring to the table. So, for example, I know that we're announcing this month, maybe some of you have already seen this, we've been talking about it, but we now have a manufactured home dealer's license. That gives us the ability to sell brand new manufactured homes, which in California is a big deal because affordability is such a disaster. And so there's a lot of individuals that are moving out of manufactured homes, and they're moving into Arizona, and they're buying brand new manufactured homes. And so because now we're duly licensed, this gives us a whole marketing campaign where we can go to the California residents and say, wow, that manufactured home that you bought for $75,000, I can now sell for $275,000. And then I can bring you right over to Arizona and put you in another $75,000 manufactured home. That's a pretty sweet deal. And you can pocket that $200,000 tax-free if it's your primary residence. So these are the type of strategies. We've always done this with Northern California, but there's not that much of a discount. There is if you're coming from north to south, but not the other way around. But right now, because of the cost of living, boy, this could really open up a whole market for many of you that are seeing that you've got buyers. The problem is they can't afford it. And now with Zoom and virtual meetings and the workplace changing and so many people having the ability to work from home, you have the opportunity to encourage them, if their company would allow, for them to move out of state, because many of them can continue to do their business just the way that they're doing it today, but from another state or another area. Maybe it's inland in California, for example, where the cost is a lot less than on the coastline. So think about it. This is not for everyone, but I did want to bring it up because we as an agency are doing it for all of you so that we have people in these different markets. And for those of you who maybe were raised in another state, I know sometimes people struggle when they move to California because it's hard to break in if you don't have a database here, but maybe you have a database in the state that you were raised in or where you lived for 20 years. Boy, it would make a lot of sense to have multiple licenses so that you could still participate even if you're physically not there. Now with Zoom and everything else, you'll be able to conduct all these transactions. As long as you have a licensee there that you can co-broker with, you could be splitting those deals 50-50 or even better. And you have the ability to handle the client and do it legally through all of this licensing, portability, and reciprocation. So again, just to re-clarify, reciprocity versus portability. Reciprocity would be if you want to get a license in those states, right? You personally want to be duly licensed. Then it's reciprocal with your California real estate license, meaning you still have to usually do a little pre-education, but you typically don't have to do another test. So you can get another license over there. you have to pay some fees, and you have to go ahead and submit your application to your background check. But that's what they mean by reciprocity. Rather than starting all over again, you can actually use your credentials, your experience. And even the ones that have no license reciprocity, for example, Arizona, they're still going to credit you with your experience. And so you'll have to send in to the Department of Real Estate here in California and request a certified letter from them that shows that you've been licensed for X amount of years. Costs $20. It's not expensive. And that gives you a certification that you provide to the new state. So your experience would still cover, it would still come with you. However, the pre-licensing is the real pain, in my opinion, because if they don't reciprocate, you are starting over as far as pre-licensing education. And although it's online now, for example, Arizona used to be in person. You could only do it if you flew there and stayed there for a couple of weeks to get the education. But because everything has changed and everything's online, now is a golden opportunity because you're able to actually do all the classes online, even in states that used to require live in-person training. Now, you may still have to fly to the state. For example, I had to fly to Arizona and take the test there. That was a little bit of a hassle. But I flew there in the morning, took the test, passed the test, and flew home. And I was home by dinner time. So you can do it. I got my fingerprints at the same time, so I didn't have to go back. So there's certain things in certain places you're still going to have to fly. Andy Crane, good question. Looking at Washington, is that saying commercial only? So let me just buzz down to Washington real quick. Let's see if I can see what you're looking at. So some of the states, interestingly enough, do have some partial recognition for commercial licensing. So in North Carolina, I'm going to get to Washington here in a moment to answer your question, Andy, but I just want to bring this up. In North Carolina, they have an interesting thing where you don't have to do anything except for submit a form that's called a limited commercial cooperation agreement. And as long as you've submitted that form stating that you're a commercial broker, you plan to only do commercial in that state, and you will partner up with somebody, they will allow you to do that right off the bat. In Nevada, you can get what's called a certificate of cooperation from that Department of Real Estate. So rather than getting a license in Nevada, you just want to get that certificate of cooperation. They last for about a year. Then you can select that broker and partner up with them, and you're good to go. So here in Washington, it says, let's see, I don't know if this is what you're looking at, but Washington has license reciprocity agreements with all of their states as long as you've had an active license in the previous 6 months and you pass the Washington state exam. So you might be looking at the other document, but I know Washington actually because I'm in the midst of that one as well. So the way that Washington works is you do need to actually submit that form I was talking about from the Department of Real Estate that shows that you have some level of experience in California or whatever state that you're in. And then they will schedule you an exam. So you can't just go take the exam, but as long as you've done that, all you have to do is go pass the exam and then you're good to go.